right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/the Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 198 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the show. If you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. If the app that you're using to listen to the show allows you to write a review or rate the show, please consider writing a review and leaving a 4-star or 5-star rating. Doing this will promote the podcast growth by updating an algorithm, which in turn will make it easier for anyone else looking for a weight loss or related podcast that is using the same app as you. One of the best things you could do to support this podcast is to literally tell anyone you know that is in the same position we are all in, trying to live a healthy life. Tell them about the show. Show them how to find it. I want to give a special thanks to all of the financial supporters of the podcast. Thank you so much for considering the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast a worthy investment of your hard-earned money. If you are interested in becoming a financial supporter of this podcast, there is a Linktree link in the description of every podcast episode. When you click it, you will be taken to a website where you will see a button that says Become a Financial Supporter. Click that button and you will be given the options available so that you can choose from there. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this! Journey updates. So I wasn't able to give you a scale result last week with the Redemption series, so I got 2 weeks worth of results here. Over the past 2 weeks, I am down 1.2 pounds. Last week, it was 1 pound down. This week, it's 0.2 pounds down, so total 1.2 pounds down. Total loss since January 2019 is 180.8 pounds. And the pounds remaining to get to 200 is 19.2 pounds. I wonder how many of you that listen to me would say that you are called to do something. It's one thing that you might have a passion for something, you might really love something, but I'm talking about feeling like it's your life's mission, like this is what you're here for. I wonder how many of you that listen to me feel that you have something like that in your life and understand what I say when I'm asking that question. I can say that about this podcast and whatever comes from it. My health journey has become the foundation of which my calling has been built on. I have said to you all before that the things that we go through in order to become the healthy version of us or the best version of us, or you plug in whatever title you want to put there. But the hard stuff that we have to get through in order to get there all becomes part of the testimony that is the foundation of which your story is built upon. And I've also told you guys that everyone out there who hears my voice has a story to tell, and they have an audience waiting for them to hear that story. whatever you're struggling with is all going to come together in one epic storyline that's going to help God knows how many people get to where they need to be. I've also told you that the last couple of years of my life has really changed how I look at everything, particularly starting with the reading of Unlock Your Macro Type. That began the whole change. That made me understand that it was more. There was something more than what I had already learned. And if I look back from this point, I could see that reading that book and implementing its theories was only part of a bigger story. It was also preparing me for something that was coming. I didn't see it at the time, but now that I can look back, I could see that it was preparing me. Had I not read that book, had I not implemented its theories, when I got hit with that diagnosis that caused some real life change, I would not have been in the position to make the changes I wanted to make so that I would not need the medication from Western medicine. A lot of my message has gotten repetitive, and I don't apologize for this, because the message I deliver week after week, it's not restricted by program. It can literally become part of anything you're doing. Just an extra detail for you to pay attention to. I feel called to do this. I feel called to make people realize what I have realized. In other words, to spread the gospel of what is a healthy lifestyle. Since the reading of that book and the implementation of its theories, something happened in me that gave birth to an incredible feeling of urgency. I have not been able to get rid of this urgency since. There are many talking points I've gone over and over and over again, and I won't let them go, because the urgency I feel is all tied to you guys grasping that. And the biggest realization of all of that is that now more than ever, that theory applies. Weight loss and health are two very different things. Now, you're probably thinking, no, they're pretty much the same thing. But no. You have options of ways to manufacture a scale number. You have many options. 2 shakes a day, a bunch of supplements in a program called Herbalife can certainly manufacture a scale number. The scale number is proof that the system works. I am not arguing or saying to you that any of these systems do not work. 2 shakes a day and a sensible dinner will definitely manufacture a scale number. Eating bars for 2 meals a day and then having a sensible dinner will definitely manufacture that scale number. Getting surgery to change the size of your stomach will definitely help manufacture that scale number. Sticking needles in your body and injecting medications to curb your appetite will definitely manufacture a scale number. But at the end of all of those things I just listed, there is no guarantee of health. We need to start paying attention to everything. Your body is made up of so many different things. And we concentrate on a scale number, and that's all. And they give you very enabling messages that allow you to believe that you can live with the things that you love and still manufacture that scale number. And part of that is true. I'm not even denying that. If you had a family-sized bag of Doritos and you used to eat that whole bag in one day, and you went from that behavior to portioning out the entire bag into smaller bags and making sure you only grabbed one portion a day, you would definitely manufacture a scale result. But would you be healthy? Why do I say this? Over the past weeks, you have heard me harp on over and over and over again about making what you eat much more simplistic, about making choices that improve your health rather than making choices that create a scale number. I told you it was extremely simple to understand, but extremely hard to do. I said for you to count how many items you ate in a day. And then I wanted you to count how many ingredients in those items. A perfect example is this. The McDonald's website has 72 ingredients in a Big Mac. 72. And that probably doesn't even count when they can group them together. When you go through the ingredient list of any food item, if you see something like natural flavors, artificial flavors, they are grouping things and hiding stuff in that category because they never individually list whatever falls into them. And I have told you that if you eat one food item, if you can make it so that you can get that food item to be as close to the same amount of ingredients as the number of food items, you would change your life. And that's what I have been encouraging you guys to do. Because doing that doesn't mean you have to switch plans. You could literally be doing any health plan on the planet and doing exactly what I said. It does not matter whether you want to count points, macros, calories, whatever you want to track. I feel such an urgency to deliver that message to you guys week after week. Because if you have your eyes open and your ears open, we are being guided to eat a certain way, which is specifically designed to make you sick a certain way, which will cause the prescription of specific medications, which will cause side effects that will bring other medications, all along deteriorating your body from beginning to end. The food deteriorates your body. The medications prescribed deteriorate your body. The additional medications prescribed deteriorate your body to the point where your body is so weak, you have no other choice but to die. And in the process of that whole thing, all that's happening really is you're just handing every dime you make in order to stay alive just a little bit longer. And never once does anyone ever direct and say, stop eating this crap. There are very few voices like mine out there. Voices that tell you you cannot live with the drugs. You would never tell an alcoholic it would be a healthy thing that they have a glass of wine every night. You would never in your right mind say that to an alcoholic. You would never in your right mind tell a drug addict that small amounts of cocaine are perfectly healthy to ingest every day. Never. You would never do that. And yet we eat foods that have been designed to make us even more addicted than somebody on cocaine, on alcohol. When will people realize They are being enabled into their sickness. They are being enabled to eat, get sick, get treated, and die in very specific ways. And what that really means is, regardless of what you choose to eat, regardless of how you get sick, regardless of how you're treated, either way it ends up at death. And the one thing that death has in common, that no matter what pathway you made it there, the system is designed for you to be broke at the end of it. Because you will spend all of your money eating, getting sick, getting treated on your way to death. They don't want you to correlate the food that goes in your system with health. They just want you to believe that things are healthy for you so you can believe your way to death. You can feel good about eating stuff that is killing you. Now, the reason I feel this passion, the reason I am so adamant to deliver this message is because in spite of having lost 150 pounds, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And that treatment for this autoimmune disease was management only. It can't be cured. You'll be on medication the rest of your life. And that medication was designed to shut down my immune system. The God-given device to make sure I can get better from getting sick would be shut down in order to make me feel better from the sickness I had. That was what they said was the treatment plan. And I was not going to accept that for what it was. I chose to treat myself my own way through nutrition. And a lot of research went into this. I've told the story before, but there's a reason I'm telling it right now. A lot of research went into how I would handle this. And I started with supplementation. I got a few supplements that were supposed to help with any autoimmune condition, not just mine. So I took a shot. My condition greatly improved in the process. It did not go away, but there was improvement. There was so much improvement, as a matter of fact, that I was saying to people that if it just stays like this the rest of my life, it's okay. I can deal with this. Because essentially, I just made a few changes in what I eat, and I was taking supplements. Supplements were kind of expensive, I'm not going to lie, but hey, I was willing to do it. After a while, I would say that the supplements themselves and the few changes I made in my eating habits got me like 80% of the way there. I had a few problem areas left. 2 spots on my leg, 1 spot on each of my arms, and my scalp. So I think my official diagnosis happened around somewhere between, let's say, March and June of 2023. The official, okay, we finally figured out what is wrong with you. It was shortly after that I introduced the supplements. And I made a few changes nutritionally, but nothing big. It wasn't anything crazy. Just a few adjustments. And then March of 2024 hits, and I just discover how people are healing themselves by living a carnivore lifestyle. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I now present to you the Ranting Weight Watcher Accountability Creed. If you choose this day to say this creed, you are accountable to me, the author,
You are also accountable to all of those before you who have taken the creed, and all of those after you who will take the creed. But most of all, you are accountable to yourself. Now recite with me the Accountability Creed. Nothing can stand in my way because I choose to be unstoppable. My challenges crumble in my presence because I choose strength when I am weak. My insecurities have no power over my life because I choose confidence in the face of fear. I own every last one of my mistakes because I choose growth over mediocrity. The mirror and the scale are powerless because I move forward in spite of the result. Circumstances are not obstacles because I see solutions instead of problems. The demons of my past can no longer torment me because I choose to renew my mind daily. All things are possible as long as I believe, because if God is for me, who can be against me? This is the creed I declare each day. It is about what I do, not what I say. I will learn the work that needs to be done. I will never stop, even when I've won. I will work consistently, no matter the cost. I refuse to believe that all hope is lost. I will work when I want to. I will work when I don't. I will work when they are cheering. I will work when they won't. I will work when it's easy. I will work when it's hard. The atonements that I've made are made with no regard. I will work when it's cold. I will work when it's hot, because choices have consequences, justified or not. When I think I know it all, I will start back at one, because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. And from this moment forward, when times are tough, I choose to believe that I am enough.
And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. Now, if there's one thing that anyone who really knows me understands, is that I don't like extremes. I don't. Not even a little bit. I believe that you can easily call the carnivore lifestyle extreme. I also believe that you can easily call the plant-based lifestyle extreme. But I don't like either one. I don't like the idea of eating only plants and eating only meat. But I can't deny that people were using meat to heal themselves. And some of them were using meat to heal skin conditions and autoimmune conditions. Were they the exact same one I did? No. But it intrigued me. So I came up with a plan to transition my life toward that goal of eating meat only. And it was part of the plan that eventually I would go 30 days straight only eating meat to see how my body finally reacted. Still, to this day, July 30th, 2024, I have not fully transitioned. I made some drastic changes, and I have gone from eating 180 grams of carbohydrates a day to 5 out of 7 days a week eating less than 10 grams of carbohydrates. And then the other 2 eating somewhere around 150 to 200 grams. In order to be carnivore, really the goal is to be at 0. That's the true carnivore. 0 carb. You're just eating fat and meat But when I started the transitions and I came up with my plan of how I would make this transition in an attempt to heal myself the rest of the way, I started to see improvement already with the changes I made. The spots that were left on my legs eventually healed. The spots that were left on my arms eventually healed. And then there was just the scalp. And I didn't think it was ever going to stop. I was kind of starting to lose hope in the idea that it would go away just by the mere nature of, simply just touching my hair would cause unbelievable sensation to itch. It's almost like the skin started crawling from my touch. And that was my own hand. It wasn't somebody else touching me. My own hand fixing my own hair caused such an insane sensation to scratch my scalp that I seriously didn't think I was ever going to get past it. Because all I kept doing was breaking open scabs, having open wounds in my hair, and they would never heal. But I kept going. I didn't give up and go back to what I was doing. I just kept going. I'm still at this point between 150 and 200 grams of carbohydrates on weekends and less than 10 grams of carbohydrates Monday through Friday. On Sunday, I was watching TV. It was just a relaxing Sunday. It is July, and Hallmark has the Christmas in July movies. So we had Christmas in July movies playing, and it was just a relaxing Sunday. I didn't notice this right away. But as I sat there for hours watching movies, I was running my fingers through my hair, and there was no sensation. And I thought I was crazy for a second there. Said, no. And then I got a little more detailed in it. I pushed my fingers on the scalp and touched all the areas that went crazy before. Nothing changed. Nothing happened. No reaction whatsoever. And really, I should have put two and two together because the night before that, Saturday night, I had gel in my hair. And during this process, whenever I would have to put gel in my hair, that was an extremely difficult time because just the hold from the gel was causing me to want to scratch my scalp. The hair being held in place the way it was. And that's why you see a lot of my recent walk videos over the past few months have been with no gel in my hair. There was a joke, when I first started doing walk videos and the Ranting Weight Watcher was born and all that, it was a joke that no matter what, my hair looked perfect when I was doing a walk video. And so it came to the point where people that follow me were cracking jokes like, his hair is always just right. Always just right. Doesn't matter how much he's been sweating. It doesn't matter how long he's been out in 100-degree temperatures. His hair always looks right. I thought it was funny, but it's true. But in the progress of all this, the gel just drove me crazy because the hold caused me to want to scratch my scalp. And without the gel in my hair, that sensation was gone. So a lot of between March and now, a lot of my walk videos were my hair without gel. Where if you compare that to the last 5 years, it's not the majority of the time. This is a new thing. And all of it was in the name of this condition. But on Saturday, it was my daughter's birthday party, and I had gel in my hair. And there was no reaction. And I think back on it now, and I should have noticed it on the day, but I didn't. But that's okay. Because I noticed it the next day. Around 4 o'clock on Sunday, I had my fingers in my hair and suddenly realized I was getting no sensation of needing to scratch. And every time I knew that my healing was complete on any other part of my body, whether it was my leg, my arms, I could still see all of the areas where it once was. There's scars there now, everywhere. And by touching the scar, if this situation was not healed completely, touching the scar caused the reaction. Even though there was no scab or whatever the case, touching the scar caused the reaction. And if I would scratch in those moments, I would recreate the entire problem. But when they finally healed, I could touch the scars and not have any issue. So immediately I got excited and I went over to Joanne and I asked her to take a look at my scalp. And she said she had seen some things. And then I showed her a scar on my arm and I said, do they look like this? Or do they look like open wounds? And she goes, no, they look like your arm. So essentially, all of the wounds that were on my scalp on Sunday were all scars. And they were all scars that at the touch of them had no reaction. And suddenly in this moment, I realized that the nutritional changes I made had healed my skin from head to toe. That is what I'm talking about. The difference between health and manufacturing a scale number. Everything I had gone through over the past months was culminated on Sunday with complete vindication that immunosuppressant drugs were not the answer. Changes in nutrition were the answer. And the biggest thing that changed in the process of all this is that all of the processed food is gone. The overwhelming majority of the items I eat every day are single ingredient items. A whole food. There are very few things left with multiple ingredients. There are certainly, if it came in a wrapper, it's gone. That is the biggest change of all of it. And the book prepared me for that change. Because the book that I read last March 2023, the guidance and the theories of that book were to make sure I ate a certain amount of protein, to make sure I ate a certain amount of fat, and to make sure I ate a certain amount of carbohydrates. Had I not read that book, had I not implemented those theories, when it came time to try to transition to carnivore, I never would have made it. You see, the transition from the book alone put me pretty close. And then it was just about making adjustments. Because making jumps like this are not easy, and they almost always lead to failure with just jumping in. That is my call. And I don't know that I could say that I honestly like delivering this message, because the majority of you don't listen to me. Forget the idea of carnivore. I never tell anybody to transition to carnivore because I don't even want to be there. I never tell anybody to transition to plant-based because I wouldn't do it. I tell everybody to find balance. And how do you do that? Find balance with real food. Real, whole food. If it's part of an animal, eat it. If it came from an animal, eat it. If it grew out of the ground, find the lowest pesticide version of that and eat it. That's it. That's the food groups. If it's meat, eat it. If it's eggs, dairy, eat it. If it came out of the ground, find the one with the least amount of pesticides and eat it. Is it any wonder that we are all being guided to eat processed food and meat is being demonized, dairy, all these things? Everything is being traded out for fake things. It's not real food. All of the things that are not real foods, get rid of them. We really need to start thinking the way our great-grandparents used to think. They were concentrated on survival. They were concentrated on growing and producing their own lives, not having everybody else do it for them. Everything is instant. And because everything is instant, it has a shelf life of 30 plus years. And the things they did to that food to make it have that shelf life is more dangerous to you than any cholesterol that can come from eating a steak, eating an egg. Meanwhile, they demonize those things more than the ingredients you cannot pronounce in the foods that last for 40 years. That's the call of this podcast, to wake you up and get you eating real food. Because these things that you say you love, these things that you can't live without, these things that you even think are good substitutes, if you can't find them in nature, it's time to wake up. It's time to realize that the message being given to us from the people we have given authority over us no longer has our best interest at heart. And in reality, if you really want to be healthy, you'll do exactly what I said. If it's the meat of an animal, eat it. If it came from an animal, eggs, milk, dairy of any kind, eat it. If it grew out of the ground and it's the least pesticide-ridden version of that, eat it. Everything else, throw it out. It's not real food. It's not real food. When I hit the 150-pound milestone, it's not like I was sitting under some delusion thinking life was going to get really easy from this point out. But I can't honestly tell you that I ever foresaw a diagnosis that essentially would change everything about how I handle my journey. On that day that I received that diagnosis, I was essentially handed a choice. One of many choices that have gone on for the last 5.5 years. I could have done the easy thing and do what everybody was telling me to do. Or I could take a risk. I can bet on myself. And I could do the really, really hard work to try something that is not the common choice. To try something that anybody else would not have chosen. When I look at everything I've done so far, I've already made that choice 1,000 times. So choosing me, taking a risk, and betting on myself came so easy in that moment. I turned my back on every medical advice that I could possibly receive in that moment. And then even when they threw other doctors in there, please listen to what this guy has to say. Listen to what that guy has to say. No, I bet on myself because I knew I was willing to do whatever it took to lose weight. Why can't I do whatever it takes to heal myself nutritionally? Everything I did was extreme. As much as I am against extreme, my health was worth more to me than whatever I was eating. And you know, if somebody in this world is out there that can grasp this, the overwhelming majority of the population are choosing food over life because they have convinced themselves that food brings them joy. It's that simple. The overwhelming majority of diabetics in this world have type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is easily gotten rid of. It's easily gone by just simply changing your lifestyle, changing the food you put in your mouth. But the problem is, the people found their joy in the food that they eat. And so giving up the food that they eat means giving up their joy. But they realize they don't have any clue that there's so much more to life. There's so much more joy to be had, and it has nothing to do with food. And that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to, no matter what your situation is, bet on you, because whatever you think makes you happy in that plate, there's so much more to life. There's so much more to living. Living is not in the kitchen. It's not in the dining room. It's out there. There's so much more. But you have to bet on you. You have to bet on yourself and believe in yourself that you can do the hard thing. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.